In Myanmar, the biggest trade unions have called for a nationwide strike to pressure the country's military leaders to step down and restore democracy. Women's groups also launched the Sarong movement and joined the call for work stoppage to mark International Women's Day today. The UN says at least 50 people have been killed since demonstrations began in February. How can Myanmar restore its duly elected government? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. The special edition of The Chiefs, with me right here on set is Ed Lingao of One News, and also with us is Ami Pamantuan of the Philippine Star, joining us from the port area in Manila.
Hi, Ami. Happy Monday.
Now,
medyo muffled yung mga salita nyo dyan sa face shield nyo
Oh, ganun ba?
Bakit naka-face shield ngayon?
But we have to follow protocols. Alam nyo naman po, there's a real surge and it's really serious for all of us. So starting today, we here in One News and in News 5, we will be following all the health protocols, also to encourage everybody and to remind everybody, mask on. Okay, now go deeper into COVID discussions as we always do, but for now we'll actually start with what we introduced earlier. We'll go straight to our guest because we don't have that much time with him, but we are joined by Special Envoy to the United Nations of the committee representing the Union Parliament of Myanmar, Dr. Sasa. Good evening, Dr. Sasa.
Good evening,
Good evening, Doctor.
Yeah. Mr. Sasa, we won't ask you where you are right now, but we will ask you, maybe give us a quick update on how is Myanmar doing right now? What is the situation in Yangon and in the rest of the country?
It's deeply chaos. The people of Myanmar, my people, are living under fear, under siege by illegal and illegitimate regimes of the military. And even today, they have killed some 5 people already. And it's total 60 people been killed who are peacefully protesting, just asking for their freedom, their democracy. And they just there peacefully. My people are peaceful people. But now we have got these military generals who are supposed to protect the people from any kind of acts of terrorism. But now they are acting terrorism against the people of Myanmar.
Okay. Now, Dr. Sasa, again, just by way of background, Filipinos are very much interested in what's happening in Myanmar, but just so we understand the context also, what is the committee representing the Union Parliament of Myanmar? We know that the country right now is in the grips of the military junta. What is the committee, particularly this committee that appointed you as envoy to the United Nations?
On the 1st of February, it was the day when the new sections of Parliament of Myanmar are to take place. But the military junta, they come by guns and weapons and stop the parliamentarians to enter into the building and surrounded all the parliamentarians' building with smoky guns. And they arrest them and they put them into lockup. And that very moment, this brave and decisive member of parliament, elected by the people of Myanmar, for the people of Myanmar, bravely set up together and hold the sections in their prison cells. And they formed the committee representing the parliaments of Myanmar. And that is the parliaments of Myanmar that I'm representing to United Nations and to international communities around the world. It was the elections 8th of November 2020 when my people, 36 million voters, went to elections and elect a representative, democratically free and fair. But that result of elections was stolen by guns, by smoky guns and gunpointers. Now our leaders, including our President U Win Mint, our State Councilor, our leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, are being detained illegally and unjustified.
Dr. Sasa, well, just to be clear, because Filipinos may not be that familiar with your system, we don't have a parliament here, we have a Congress, which is a bit different. So in other words, you represent the members of your parliament, especially those who have been put in jail by the military leaders of your country.
Yes, that's correct. It's like a House of Congress and House of Senators. The same, there's a lower house and upper house in the parliament. So I am representing both upper house and lower house of the parliament. Both of the parliaments, lower house of parliament and upper house of parliaments are called union parliament as together.
But I also understand that I think a third of parliament is composed of military appointees or military officials. Is that correct? And how does that play into the whole thing?
The military generals are determined to control the politics of Myanmar by drafting the constitution that is known as 2008 constitutions. They have drafted the constitution for 20 years. The constitution promised the military generals the ultimate autonomy and the veto power on the politics. And that constitutions promise the interest of the generals, not interest of the people. So according to their constitutions, that is the big problem in Myanmar and my country. So in that constitution, they guaranteed 25% of the seats in the House of Parliament, both in lower house and in upper house. That means that always there will be not elected member of parliament, 25% from the army generals. And they will be appointed by commander-in-chief of the generals army, the army of Myanmar. And at the same time, their constitutions promise Minister of Defense has to always be general, and Minister of Home Affairs always have to be general. Again, Minister of Border Affairs has to be always general, and then one vice president has to be general. So that means they gave themselves 4 cabinet ministers out of 10 ministers of cabinet, including their 25% of member of parliament and commander-in-chief of the army generals. So that means that everything they have taken away from the people of Myanmar, according to the constitution that they have created.
Dr. Sasa, our latest report today from your country